to school, I feel inspired and I feel happy with my friends, and I don't really want to leave.
I feel like the goals for everyone is to be like the best person you can be, try to get the best grades as possible, have the best behavior you can.
It's just like the environment around us. It makes you a better person.
I think what's special about Bloomfield Hills Schools is a sense of community.
The school look really friendly, which is pretty easy to feel comfortable.
No matter where you come from, who you are as a person, you just feel included.
At the end of the day, like, it's our home, and I think all the teachers treat the school and the kids in the school like a home and like a family.
They don't just care if you get an A or if you get a B. They actually care about your well-being. They want you to excel as a student, but at the same time, they're not holding your hand.
They want you to understand why you want to do this.
Our classes aren't okay, sit and learn. It's very interactive.
We're in groups and we're doing partner work.
The level of care and the level of learning and the level of creativity has been outstanding in ways that I couldn't have even imagined.
They really encourage you to step outside your box and do other things that you wouldn't be used to, or work with other people that you wouldn't be used to.
Before I went here, I never really thought of being an engineer, but I had the chance to do tech, and I realized that was a lot of fun.
Before I took my Intro to Agriculture class, I didn't know anything about being outside.
We have a farm for the Bloomfield Hills Schools.
Being outside with animals just opens your mind.
At the Nature Center, we see animals, trees, leaves.
We're focusing on how animals adapt to their environment.
Our district keeps super up to date with technology.
We're working with equipment that they work with in the real world. It's state of the art, it's top notch, and I think that that's helped me become very prepared for my future. We here have a very unique opportunity of being able to harness our individual talents.
I don't think most schools have radio stations, do they?
Nature Center and the Bowers Farm.
Investment Club.
BHSTV News.
Global Champions.
Jazz Band.
Water Sport Alliance.
Black Student Alliance.
Indian Student Alliance.
Gym, music, art, soccer, football, baseball,
Swimming, volleyball, and diving.
Future Farmers of America.
math, mentathlon,
Student Ambassadors Program.
Cross country and track.
Sailing team.
Environmental club.
Theater.
Full club.
Women's Empowerment Club.
The clubs get you with other people that you wouldn't normally hang out with.
These outlets have kind of helped me decide the career path that I want to go into. I do want to be a broadcast journalist.
I want to be a doctor.
I was thinking of becoming an investment banker.
I want to major in animal science and eventually have my own dairy farm.
I really can't decide if I want to be a professional soccer player or a teacher.
Whatever you want to do, you're important. You have so many things to be able to actually become what you want to be and be able to love your job and love your life and still be successful.
Bloomfield Hills Schools have really developed me as a learner and a person.
They push you and push you and push you to be the best possible person.
It's all about building your character to be able to go out in life and do good things.
I love Bloomfield Hills Schools.
I love Bloomfield Hills Schools. It's really fun.
It's a really good learning community, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, good evening. We certainly are proud to have you here and joining us. And as we provide an overview of our kindergarten programming at Conant, Eastover, Lone Pine, and Way Elementary Schools. And tonight you'll have the chance and opportunity to meet and hear from each of our 4 elementary principals. Over here we have Nick Russo, Carrie Croker, Mary Hilberry, and Adam Scher. Adam was the gentleman in the sunglasses in the video a moment ago. As they share additional details about our kindergarten experiences that promote an engaging curriculum, fosters a strong sense of belonging and a culture of caring, builds a powerful community of learners, and the exceptional and unique resources within our school district and community that certainly provides a very enriched experience for our kindergarten students. And then finally, before we leave, we'll announce the dates and times for our upcoming kindergarten orientation that will take place at each one of our elementary buildings. So to get us started, I'll first introduce Gary Croker to begin us with our academic programming.
Good evening. I'm the principal over at Eastover Elementary, so welcome tonight. We're so excited to see so many families coming to join us in the Bloomfield Hills family. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about language arts and what to expect with literacy in a kindergarten classroom, just to give you a small sense of what it's like. And in our literacy approach, we really have a balanced literacy approach, which means we really are trying to mimic things that happen at home in the classroom and build a love of reading and writing with all of our learners. And so what that kind of looks like in a classroom is teachers have read-aloud stories, picture books that they read with the kids and talk about text so that kids begin to have an understanding of how stories go and flow, that there's characters in the story, how print goes from left to right, and just looking at the pictures and trying to get a sense of story. The teachers also do a reading and writing workshop approach. Within those approaches, the teachers will often do a mini lesson that's centered around a piece of text that they may have read in class. So there's a mini lesson where the teacher models something that kids do in reading, like looking at certain words or trying to figure out letters. So they teach some decoding strategies. They look at the pictures and try to do comprehension lessons with the kids. So they start getting that sense of story from the pictures and looking at the words and what they mean. So there's a lot that they do in those lessons, and they model that for the kids. And then the kids have their own book boxes in the classroom. So kids are matched with high interest, accessible text that's at their reading level as they progress through kindergarten. So it starts with maybe looking at books and figuring out the story from pictures, moves into decoding and reading of words, and then also understanding what the story is really about and what's really happening with the characters in those stories. The same thing, we want our readers to read like writers and our writers to look like readers, and so we try to put those two together, and kids are trying out stories first with pictures and then labeling those pictures. And as they learn more letters and sounds and words, they're stretching out their words as they can. They're learning sight words, and then they're making those into sentences and then into complete stories over pages. And so our kids are leaving reading and writing in kindergarten. If they come in and they're already reading and writing, the teachers will assess them at their levels and then keep pushing them from where they're at when they come into kindergarten. If we have kindergartners coming in still learning letters and sounds, there's a lot of word work built into reading and writing, and then word study that's done outside of the reading and writing workshop too to help build that so it fosters it during the workshop time as well. So you've got word study, read aloud, reading and writing workshop. Kids are trying things out that they learn in their own books. And then we also have things called shared reading and shared writing, which is where the teacher will have a large piece of text. It's huge. It's very blown up, like this big. And they'll read the text many times together. They'll look at words, how print goes from left to right, what a period is, a question mark. And so they're learning concepts about print as they read. And then kids get to read those stories over and over and practice them. So they're learning different patterns and things as they look at text. So really fostering love of reading. And then they also do shared writing, which is where the teacher and the children will share the pen often. And sometimes it's based off of an experience they've had in class, like blowing bubbles or playing with the Play-Doh or some hands-on experience they've had. And then the kids will write with the teacher and sort of share the pen. So they're learning writing skills as they're doing this shared writing experience. So lots of literate experiences to help build that love of reading and fostering that sense of community and love of books and writing as they're doing these experiences with the kids. But our kids leave at the end of kindergarten year reading and writing if they aren't already. So lots of rich experiences that they'll find. The other thing that I'd like to touch on a little bit is social studies, and in social studies, the kids will experience different units of study. There's one that's all about me, so kids learn, they're sort of egocentric at this age, it's all about me. So they learn like what's special about me, and they get a chance to share that with the class. And then what's special about their friends, so they get to learn about each other and build that sense of belonging and community in the classroom. They also spend time learning about their families, and there's a family study and a family timeline, and that their families have a history. They also take time in kindergarten to learn about their community, so that they learn, oh, there's just not me and my family, there's this bigger sense of community. And then also unit on like where we fit in our world and how we live in Michigan. There's this other place that we're in, right? In the United States, and so they learn about their world. They also spend time doing units of study on wants and needs and what's the difference between a want and a need, and then goods and services. They also take time to learn about what's important in our environment and how we have these special things called trees. And they learn about what's special and how that ties into our environment as well, and it's tied into social studies. So lots of good things that they learn through these units of study, and you'll hear all about it when they come in because there's lots of projects involved through these units of study. So that's a little bit about language arts and social studies, but again, it's about building a sense of belonging and really helping them feel a part of the community, whatever school that they're at. So I'm going to turn it over to our next principal. Again, I'm Carrie Crocker, principal at Eastover, and thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nick Russo. I am the principal at Conant. And I have the pleasure tonight to talk to you a little bit about math and science. For those of you who have students already in the system, you know that math is learned in a very different way than what we experienced when we were in school. Our mathematics instruction is really about deep thinking, a lot of thinking and a lot of talking about what we're learning. Up on the slide, you'll see it says Envision 2.0. Envision 2.0 is our math resource that we have through kindergarten through 8th grade. Envision 2.0 allows us from kindergarten through 8th grade to have an aligned vocabulary, not only for teachers, but for students. What that means is that if students are learning something in kindergarten about adding and subtracting, or what the numbers are as symbols, that they will use that same vocabulary as they go vertical through our system. Math workshop is a little different way. As I'm speaking up here to you from a podium, think of the exact opposite experience for your kids in kindergarten. This is not how we run our kindergarten classrooms through math. The math workshop really starts with a combination of looking at a piece of Envision, which is to solve and share. The students, for example, in your kindergarten will experience that when they start a math lesson, they give them a problem that they try to solve and they share out. The next step of that lesson is to move into something called Convince Me. So now your student, your child, has to tell someone else why they got the answer they got and how they got it. So it's really about talking about math, proving your point, making sure that say, hey, I got this way, but maybe my partner got the answer this way, but they're both correct. So really exploring those different ways we can come up with the same answer. Then we move into a real engaging video that's part of every single lesson. It's about 2 to 5 minutes, depending on what they're trying to teach. The video sits with them, shows in front of them a whole group. The teacher then breaks it into a math workshop where students are able to build something, put something with their hands, hands-on manipulatives. They're trying to build something. A lot of engineering goes into that. And while students are at different centers doing different things that's related to the topic, a teacher is able to pull that small group of students to maybe reteach something, to maybe look at a different, maybe enrich someone who says, oh, I already know this, so I'm gonna give them a little more challenging activity. Or maybe there's a few students who are struggling with the concept. They'll pull those students to reteach that concept. And that's really what mathematics looks like in a kindergarten room. In science, it's really about, it says phenomenal science up on the slide. Science is really about, in the kindergarten classroom, is making the child feel like they are an investigator and they are a scientist. Phenomenal science really brings that out by dropping some sort of phenomenon in front of the kids And the students really have to kind of dive in and say, well, how did that happen? Why did that happen? They talk to each other. There's a lot of shared back and forth. They write it down. They draw pictures. They start using vocabulary. A perfect example might be in a kindergarten room is watching something melt. And so that's the phenomenon that we're going to study. And we're going to have a lot of discussion about it. We're going to talk, why do you think that happened, right? It's all about the inquiry. And when it says thinking and acting like a scientist, I was just in a classroom last week where a teacher said to the students, I want you to look at each other eye to eye. I want you to tell each other what it is to be a scientist. And what the rich conversation that comes out of that from 5-year-olds is amazing, right? You wear goggles and you can go to space, and I wear a white coat. It was really great to see. But in terms of the content, it really is about building off of how do we investigate, learn, and build upon what each phenomenon offers. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm going to turn it over to our next presenter.
Good evening. I'm Adam Scher. I'm principal of Way Elementary. How many of you are parents of the first child coming in next year? Are you crying? Are you excited? Hopefully you're excited. We know you have a lot of choices, so we really appreciate you coming out tonight to hear a little bit about us. That film, my mother loves, because I'm in it. So I sent it to her, and she's found out all about social media. She sent it to everybody. And because she's of a certain age and is a little forgetful now, she sent it back to me and said, have you seen this? Yeah, Mom, I sent that to you. So I have the great privilege tonight to talk to you about the 4 parts of a school day that kids love the most besides lunch and recess. Because that's what they're going to tell you their favorite part is. Don't even ask them. I'm telling you right now. It's lunch and recess. But the other 4 are our specials that go on at all 4 of our elementary schools. We get at least an hour of each one of these classes per week. The first one to talk about is art, and I happen to also wear the hat of the fine arts coordinator in the district, so I'm really passionate about these. And one of the things to look at if you're looking at or considering other school districts is some have done away with some of these programs, and it's absolutely a terrible thing. And we deeply believe in them, and we see the wonders that these programs do for our students. So art, from a foundational standpoint, it's all about choice. And it's really cool to watch every level that they go into, from elementary to middle and on to high school, and all of the opportunity that's available to them in the arts. So we work on choice, and we work on habits of mind, what it means to be an artist, art history, who were the great artists, what made their work so interesting. We examine it. Kids get a chance to emulate it, and then find their own kind of voice when it comes to art. When they get older, they take on pottery. When they get to high school, there's glass work, there's metal smithing. There's all kind of opportunity for them if you go through our system. Music program equally is quite powerful to behold. You know, at early ages, we work on understanding beat and pattern and rhythm, and then we mold those into performances with the voices. But we also do instrumentation, although it's not the formal instrumentation that you're thinking of. We use a lot of Orff instruments, shakers and tambourines and xylophones. And then when they reach 5th grade, they pick up an instrument, and it's mandatory for all of our students. We follow the research. Research is incredibly powerful around music, from the mathematical spatial reasoning to memory skills. We're big believers in that. I also think they're wonderful if they're still playing musical instruments by the time they reach high school. They tend to stay out of trouble more. So I think it's also very powerful. PE, physical education, don't ever say to a gym teacher, they're going to gym. They don't say gym, we're physical education. It takes place in a gym. And we do stress the word education. It's not an extra recess. We work on safety, but we work a whole lot on skill development. In all of our schools, there's all kind of great tools that we use, from technological tools to actually capture somebody throwing and then to be able to make an adjustment with that throw. It's pretty neat. There's dancing that goes on. It's just a terrific class, and more than anything, kids love it because they get all that energy out during the day. And then finally, we have Spanish. We have Spanish in all of our elementary schools. We believe deeply in language acquisition, the power of it, but we also look at the cultures around the world, and it helps shrink that space of the child a little bit and creates this empathy of what others are like and what other people go through. When you reach middle school, you'll have other options when it comes to world languages, and at high school, my gosh, there's 5 or 6 of them that you're going to be able to choose from at that point. So I think that's about what I have to say. Thanks for coming out tonight, and let me introduce my good friend Mary Hilberry from Lone Pine Elementary.
Good evening. So I'm glad that Adam asked for a show of hands on how many of you have your oldest or your only coming to kindergarten, because I was going to ask you the same thing. I do want to reassure you that all 4 of us are parents, and as a matter of fact, all 4 of us have had or do have children here in the Bloomfield Hills Schools, because we believe in the education that we provide for our kids here. But the other thing that I think is important for you to understand is that we get where you're at right now. Having your child start kindergarten is so exciting and so terrifying at the same time, and we totally understand that. We have walked that path ourselves. So I want you to be assured, because I know that we've talked a lot about academics, and they are robust. They are going to prepare your kids for any future you want for them. The opportunities are absolutely here. They're only waiting for your child to take advantage of them. But I also want you to know that we deeply care about your children as human beings. We love your kids, and we want them to feel loved when they're in our schools. So part of the biggest experience of being in a kindergarten is learning how to, what we say, do school, right? So they're learning to read, they're learning to write, they're learning some science, social studies, and so forth, but they're also learning how to be a member of a community. And that's a very important part of our daily bread and butter in working with students in our school. How to be kind, how to be caring, how to show empathy, how to have, what does it mean to have integrity? That's part of the whole child. It's part of the whole social fabric of our schools. And I think that you will find that your kids are deeply happy with those experiences that they have. We're committed to recess. Recess is an amazing social learning opportunity for our children. They get to go outside and play for 25 minutes every day. They learn the most valuable lessons about getting along with others out on the playground. Our teachers are compassionate. Our teachers are caring. Our teachers are about teaching kids the positive lessons that happen when they have a conflict with a peer. What can they take out of that to learn and do differently next time? And how do we do that with love and compassion for when children make mistakes? Because we all do. So when we look at the whole child, we know that every learner is different, and we know that every learner needs unique support. So our schools do offer the full spectrum of support from a special ed standpoint. We also offer services for our English language learners. And one of the things that I think it's important for you to know as parents new to a school system is that we have a lot of experience. No question is a dumb question, and we are here for you. If you're having a concern, if you're worried about your child, if you need some advice, you don't know what to do, just ask. We're here for you. The teachers are here for you. They have decades of experience together. The 4 of us principals, I don't know, we're getting up there. We've got a few years under our belts, too. And we've heard it all, believe me. Don't be afraid to ask. Parenting is the most difficult job you will ever have in your life. Am I right? And there's no reason to go it alone. So reach out to us. We are here to help you. We are here to take care of your kids, and we care about them as a whole child. So we do hope, we know how vulnerable it makes you feel to send your child off to school, how scary that is and how exciting it is. But I promise you, we will do our best to take care of your children and love them like they were our own. Thank you.
So before we move into additional details about enrollment, just a couple other areas we wanted to highlight with connections to our academics. And the first is our farm. So if you didn't know, I'm happy to be the first one to tell you that Bloomfield Hills Schools has a farm and nature center. Our farm is about 90 acres and probably is home to one of the biggest celebrities in our district. Her name is Cinnamon. She is a llama. This is not Cinnamon. Some of the other animals are starting to get jealous, so we're trying to give them some airtime as well. And so some of our animals visit our elementary schools. We call it Farm on the Spot, and we have some very interesting experiences when that happens. But our students will also be invited out there, as well as our kindergarten students. And we can go to the next slide as well for our nature center. And both of these resources for us provide a really rich experience for all of our students, and really is unique to our school district to have a farm and a nature center and to be able to provide students with these incredible field trips. And in addition to that, it's not just exclusive to during the school year. If you want to check this out online, there are other opportunities as well, summer programs or opportunities to visit the sites as well, not just through our school district. So we have that open to the community. And so we want to highlight those areas as well, and we'll be jumping into enrollment next with Christine DiPilato. She is our Director of Learning Services.
Good evening. So some of you might be asking, is my child ready for kindergarten? And maybe you're wondering if you're ready for kindergarten, but the answer is yes, your child is ready for kindergarten. The state gives us guidance in a birthday. So the state says if your child is 5 by September 1st, he or she is in fact ready for kindergarten. But we've listed a few ways that as parents at home, you can continue to prepare them for a successful first year in kindergarten. You can see some of the things that are listed up there include promoting independence in dressing, independence in using the bathroom, independence in being away from a family member or mom or dad and feeling confident. There's also ways that you can continue to work with them on letter recognition and sounds that go with letters. Help them talk about what letters are in their first name or in their last name. Practice counting with them. Talk about shapes and colors. And then obviously on the social front, continue working on being respectful towards others and traits that we find very valuable and continue to work on as adults, like taking turns and sharing. Some of the other pieces that I think will be important for you to know before you leave tonight are the steps in our enrollment process. So on the next slide, you can see that we've stepped it out for you in 3 different steps. The first step is to complete an online enrollment form. The online enrollment form will be available as of tomorrow. You can see that it's listed and very easily accessible through bloomfield.org/kindergarten. Once that form is complete, you will be contacted by a member of our student services team to set up an appointment to come in to move forward with residency and enrollment. I do want to take a moment to introduce our supervisor for student services, Sandra Dukey. Sandra is sitting over here. Sandra is one of our team members who you will likely have some interactions with as you begin your journey in Bloomfield. And tonight is a great opportunity to put faces with names. And that's why there have been so many of us up here, because we want you to be able to feel comfortable in asking questions and approaching us throughout the evening or throughout your time in Bloomfield. Once you've set up an appointment with our student services, you'll move forward with verifying all of the things that you need. You are invited with your kindergartner to your kindergarten orientation at your local elementary school. It will begin at 9:30 that morning, and it's an opportunity for both parents and students to learn a little bit more hands-on about what kindergarten looks like. The next slide talks about the tuition process that Bloomfield also has. For any non-resident families, Bloomfield does offer a tuition program for kindergarten, and there's a very similar 3-step process there as well. So if you are interested or know of others who would be interested in joining your child, there is a tuition program in Bloomfield Hills for kindergarten. And then finally, we are not going to have open questioning here in the auditorium, but instead we're asking that you join us out in the commons area to ask questions. Please feel free to approach any one of us. There's also quite a few experts out in the commons that you may have had an opportunity to meet. Our transportation department is out there, our food service is out there, Latchkey and Daycare is out there. We would also ask that if you have not had an opportunity to sign in on one of the computers that are out there, please do so. That allows us to collect information and then send out to you any updates that we have on kindergarten enrollment. So please do that before you leave this evening. And have a great night.